So what else could cause a lean condition over the entire range of operation? Gasoline type and octane and brand. So I asked the owner, what do you fill this thing with? He said 93 octane from Royal Farms. I guess that's a chain convenience store down in Maryland. So what I would do next is fill it up with some ethanol free from a gas station that I know has quality gasoline. You know, it's at less than half a tank right now. If we fill it up and that fuel mixes in and the fuel trims drop significantly, then we'll know that's the problem. If they don't, it'll be something else. But right now it's the easiest thing to rule out because everything else seems just fine. You know, it's everything else is on the money. You know, what other inputs are there for the base fuel map? Just the map sensor or the boost sensor. That's reporting just fine. So yeah, interesting one. Alright, so the owner of the Mercedes approved filling this thing up with ethanol free premium gasoline. That's what we're going to do. Before heading to the gas station, let's reset the adaptives again. And then when we fill it up, we'll see if the fuel trims come down. Okay, process has been completed. Switch off ignition. Wait 10 seconds. Let's go fill this thing up. Interesting to note that during this test drive, so we cleared the adaptives, but all the monitors are still complete. So the OBD2 code clear is different from just adaptives clear apparently. But the long terms didn't learn at all. There's still a 0. Just the short term is active. Interesting on both banks. And equivalence ratio, it's always less than 1 when the vehicle is just running here. So, you know, the strategy here can be not straightforward whatsoever. But let's fill it up and see if anything happens to these trims. I'm not sure. Perhaps they used aftermarket O2 sensors that the Mercedes is just not happy with on the downstream, even though they seem like they work perfectly. Maybe it's trying to keep these happy, and if they're a little miscalibrated, then we're going to get these super high short-term trims, especially idle. Like 20% on both banks. And you can see we are running just slightly rich. Okay? Alright, just filled this beast up. And our short terms are pegged at 25% on both banks. Equivalence ratio started off at 1.2. Now it's down to 0.97. Definitely didn't make anything better, huh? If anything, it made it worse. But it's still data. So let's take a picture of that and keep driving. Alright, I'm going to clear out the pending code. We're just going to start from scratch again. Oh, key on. Clear fault code. Yes. Read fault code. No fault code. And now let's look at the data, keep driving it, and see if we want to get the oxygen sensor monitor to pass. Okay, so on initial startup, our short terms went up to about 20%, 15%, but they're dead nuts equal. And everything is super equal. I like that. Now look at the long-term trims. They're climbing about 12%, 13%. So let's record that And just to make it a little better on the graph, these long-term secondary O2 sensor fuel trims, I don't know exactly what that means. So see, after the code clear in OBD2, our long-term started learning right away. So let's see if the banks are even, bank to bank. Again, we're climbing on the long terms. Short terms are about 5%. So let's keep driving it, see what happens. This is extremely interesting to me. Now both banks are identical. I mean, completely identical. Look at the long term. Yes, we're around 20%, but when you're driving, they're close to 0. And the equivalence ratios are now 0.99, like almost 1. The downstream sensors are 0.75 on the money. Short terms are 1%. Like, the banks are exactly the same now. They were not before. They were not. Let's see if we set any pending codes and if some of the monitors ran. Evap not ready, O2 sensor not ready, heater not ready, so we'll need to do a cold start for those. Okay. Did we set any pending codes? No fault codes, that's fine. I like it. So we will have to take this car on another test drive now. Just look at all the trims. So we're right around 20%, but they're exactly the same. 19.5%. And equivalence ratio is right around 1. That really blows my mind. Bank to bank, we are just spot on the money, identical. Just after filling up and resetting the codes and adapters one more time. That really is really surprising to me. Before, the banks were like 5% off, and you know, it just wasn't happy. And we'll raise the RPMs a little bit. Okay, so 20% on both banks at idle. Shouldn't set any codes. While we're driving, they're close to 0. It's amazing. Actually, the O2 sensor monitor did pass on this test drive. Just the O2 sensor heater not ready, but I'm not too worried about that. And yeah, let's see. Let me what we can do is just log back in, and then it'll tell you how many monitors are complete or incomplete. So this first screen, it says readiness not completed 2, readiness completed 6. And once you go in here, after DTC is cleared, you should have 2 not readies. So evap not ready and O2 sensor heater not ready. Read fault code. No fault code. Amazing. So did filling this thing up with some premium gasoline fix it? I'll take it one more test drive. I have a feeling, yes, a lot of things changed. Now the banks are dead even. Fuel trims are not going above 20%. Before they were skyrocketing to 25. The banks, you know, weren't exactly the same. And yeah, the oxygen sensors look a lot more uniform. So quite a few variables here, but you need good gasoline with no ethanol. These are premium tuned cars that, you know, the owner said he put in 93 octane, but if it was from some discount Unimart, that doesn't mean much. Alright, so I talked to the owner of the Mercedes and basically told him there are no major issues at this time, but if you're going to sell it quickly. And he does want to diagnose this windshield washer problem. He said for 2 years it hasn't worked, so he wants that fixed. So let's do a little research on that. But otherwise, you know, the coolant and the oil consumption problems, apparently these things, the turbos can start failing and the oil gets just, you know, injected into the whatever exhaust or intake stream, and coolant, I don't know. Didn't see any drips, so, but we did hear that whining sound when it was cold. That could be a turbo shaft getting a little loose and, you know, starting to make some noise. But he just wants the check engine light off, everything else to work, so he can trade this thing in and get it out of his life, which is a wise decision. So let's dive right in and take a look at this windshield washer circuit. Okay, obviously we need to do our research before knowing exactly what to check. So, wiper washer circuit. This right here is our windshield washer fluid pump on washer fluid reservoir tank. Now the headlights washers work, just the windshield washer pump does not engage. So it's grounded and the power comes from the front SAM module, left rear of engine compartment, single wire power feed, boom. So we can definitely, again, scan this thing for codes. It was not setting a circuit code for anything. We can actually go into the original codes and SAM, driver signal acquisition module, coolant levels too low. I mean, these are all history codes. And rear SAM, nothing to do with the windshield washer circuit. So we can bidirectionally control it. I'm sure nothing will happen, but I want to get to the pump itself and see if we have a good power and ground when we activate the washer. Now, the washer pump itself, it looks like it's not too hard to get to. You just need to remove, loosen washer reservoir, unclip windshield washer fluid pump, and remove. Collect washer fluid which flows out. So I just want to disconnect this electrical connector. It should be right near the tank. But let's jump on the scanner and see if there is a bidirectional control for this washer pump. Alright, so here's the washer tank. Just one bolt there. Gotta get this thing, perch solenoid out of the way. And here we have two pumps. So the smaller gauge wiring is for the windshield. This is for the headlights. Let me unplug this. We'll put a test light in there and see if we have good power and ground. Alright, so I have the 1 amp test light plugged in instead of the washer pump. Let's try that actuation test again. Windshield washer pump. Okay. F3. Bingo. We're good. So the washer pump itself is shot. We'll get a new one right from the dealer installed. Alrighty. Old washer pump extracted, new washer pump. Yeah, it's aftermarket. It was like 40 bucks at the local store. They brought it here. So that's what we're going to use. Let's see if the washer works. Yay. Success! Alright, so we're back in the Mercedes AMG. Talked to the owner. He also asked me to take a look at why the radio doesn't work. I asked him, well, what part of the radio? It's like a whole infotainment system. He's like, the speakers just don't work. So here's the menu. You use this knob to select stuff. So in audio, if you select AM FM radio or satellite radio, it just says device not available. Okay, you go up here, AM FM radio, device not available. What if we go to disk? It says please insert disk 1. So let me try to put a disk in there, something that is not that valuable to me. Just this is from like 2000 whatever 3. Weird Al. Let's see if the Mercedes will take that. Let's see, eject, load, insert disc 1. No, doesn't want to eat it. Okay, interesting. Obviously scanned it for codes, and here in the audio tree, there's one code source that says most component at position 2 reports open ring, current and stored. So command with integral telematics gateway, and you can see tuner is grayed out. There's no communication with this radio tuner with amplifier. If we enter that, it'll just say no luck. Okay. I guess there's tele-aid, and I'm not sure if the CD changer is part of the tuner or not, because we have VCS, voice control linguistics, TV is TV tuner, CTEL is mobile phone adapter, because why not? Let's look up some wiring diagrams, see if, why is this not powered up? Is there a fuse that's blown or something? Simple. I'm hoping it's something simple. Let's do a little research. Alright, so I'm looking at some redrawn diagrams for this audio circuit. So, sound systems, radio circuit, and hot at all times fuse 104 and 111, left instrument panel fuse box under left side dash cover. Okay, and this is the entire unit here, audio tuner control unit, left side of trunk, and it does power up all of the speakers. Okay, if we go back, there's command actuation circuit, intercom, most data bus, radio circuit, satellite, sound amplifier circuit. So I don't know if this thing has a sound amplifier or not. Sound amplifier, left side of luggage compartment, 12 volts. Again, right instrument panel fuse box on the right side of dash cover. Okay, and digital sound processor, left side of trunk, use 8420 amp. So here it just says tuner, radio tuner with amplifier. So let's go by this diagram. Check fuse 104 and 111, hot at all times, left instrument panel fuse box. Alright, here's our little fuse box. I wonder why it's detached from the body. Obviously someone's already been here, but fuse, was it 104? Should be the second one in the second row. If I can get my alligator clip to stay on the ground. Nothing's metal in this car. Even the door jamb is probably not a good ground. Let me set that up and we'll measure this fuse right here. Alright, here we go. Here's the 40 amp fuse. Bright on that side. Bright on that side. We might have to go right to the radio. Fuse 111 is not populated, so we might not have that function or feature. Alright, so on the right side, we don't even have fuses 77 or 84, so we don't have this advanced sound system like it shows here. 77, valid for code 811 advanced sound system. Don't have that. And we don't have 84. So we're just focused on that 40 amp fuse over there. I think now we need to go to the trunk. Alright, we're in the trunk. There's a weird kind of a wet, moldy smell back here. We need to get this panel off, and the tuner should be back here. Like I said, I smelled some moisture, and sure enough, if modules are covered in rust, that's not a good thing. So let's disconnect this little light, swing that out of the way. Oh, we got water. We got water. Let's see. Here's radio, Sirius satellite radio. See the two orange wires, that's the most bus. And I assume this is the radio and amplifier unit right here. And it's just hanging out. It's just hanging out. Unreal. What is going on here? This thing full of water? Could be. There's the part number. How is that supposed to be attached? So, someone's messed with this car. It's probably a flood car. The guy probably got it for cheap. Now he's having all kinds of issues. There's water. I mean, I don't see a pool of water, but there's definitely moisture everywhere. This whole panel's wet. Alright, let's do a quick check on the power wire here. This is the fat red and white. So test light lights up, and you can prove that that's the right wire by pulling out this fuse, if you can get a hold of it. Oh, there's a little clip there. Yeah, don't do that with an air hammer. Alright, so I pulled the fuse out, and now this wire should be... Oh, you saw that go dim? So it discharged whatever capacitor was in there. We can scan it for codes one more time to see if anything changed. So, key on. Let's see, command, enter. I just want to read the code and make sure it didn't set any extra codes. So, most component at position 2 reports open ring. Most master reports open ring. Most component at position 2 reports open ring. Okay, so the most master, maybe that was the radio circuit, but these codes, they're not in service info. Okay, so I plugged the fuse back in, and now we have a most component position 1 reports open ring. When I unplug the satellite tuner here, let's plug this sucker back in. Assuming this has power and ground. The fans obviously aren't spinning. Let's clear DTCs one more time. Now, that most component at position 2 or position 1, that could actually switch. It could assign different numbers to the components on the most network. Switch on ignition. Okay. Okay. Most component at position 2 reports open ring. Okay, so we basically took one component off, and then the next one is the one that's reporting it. So that kind of makes sense. D102. See, unplug this one. Read fault code. If we, clear DTCs, it's going to go back to position 1. Very interesting. So I'm really starting to get the feeling that this was a Florida flood car that was shipped up here, and combine that with an expensive Mercedes, you're going to get a huge money pit. So I'm done with this. We found water in the trunk. Not going any further with the audio system. Probably needs all new radio, amplifier, all this garbage. One more clue. the seat belt has mold on it. How about that? It looks like this car has long mystery history. Water intrusion, especially in something with 50 computers. Game over. that's I think what we learned from this one. So thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Alright, so let's take a quick peek at the turbos. There's definitely some oil on top of this one. You can see it's kind of pooling up right there. There's the passenger side. Driver's side is a little tough to inspect, but I don't see any oil residue up here. And if we go under the car, you can see there's an oil drip right there. And where is that coming from? There's a little bit on the alternator, but the turbo itself, there it is. Let's see, can we get that in the shot? Maybe like that. See that oil drip coming right off the turbo? Yep. So that's what the customer's smelling. One little oil drop once in a while hits the hot, turbo or outlet, and then it smokes a little bit. So, yep, that's his oil leak. But not much you can do about that. You got to replace the turbo.